We are recording live. Announcements. I forgot announcements. Announcements. These are off the top of my head. So let's start. MBF is coming out in December for anyone who didn't get early access. So December is not far away. That's kind of crazy. Also on November, okay, back up. Our team retreat is October 30th, 31st. I was going to say the 32nd, and November 1st. I will get there on Friday. So, I mean, anytime on Friday, people can show up. And then we're trying to figure out checkout time on Sunday or whenever we get going and stuff. But I'm pretty excited for some things we have planned. People don't have to come for the full weekend if they can't make it. Even a part is fun. And then they're doing a virtual super weekend, the weekend of November 7th. And I'm going to try to spend, I think that's a Saturday, tuning into that. And it's just like they actually would always do every quarter. They did a super weekend and it'd be in like a bigger city. So like Minneapolis, Omaha, like they have done them like in smaller towns if people facilitate them. But essentially it's like a week, a day gathering where you work out together, you have trainings, they have super trainers there, kind of that stuff. But obviously with COVID, they're not doing those. So they're doing a virtual one. And we actually have one in the central region. They split it out by regions. So I'm going to try to watch that on November 7th. And so it'll be good to have that.
Do you know if they're recording that, Brianna?
Clover's barking. Yes. I hope she's just barking because Shane's home and not because someone's breaking into my house. But let me double check. Oh, it's just because Shane's home. Your pizza rolls are on the pizza thingy. Wow, he's so kind. So I'm really glad the recording got all this. I'm thinking they'll record it, Jess. I'm hoping, I don't know. I'm hoping they will and that it'll be in the back office. And so, but they always do big announcements at Super Weekend, stuff like that. So I'm excited to see what's to come. Also, Peppermint Mocha Shakeology, I can't talk. Shakeology comes out on November 2nd, and I love Peppermint Mocha Shakeology. It's actually my favorite flavor. And so if you have people who like that, it's good. Not like the salted caramel. If you got the salted caramel, blech, that was gross. But I can guarantee you the peppermint mocha is good because I bought boxes of it last year. Okay, handling objections. This is something this month I have been struggling, and I will be the first person to be transparent with you that I have been struggling. Like I literally just hit Success Club yesterday, thankfully. And I've been inviting, I've been following my tracker, I've been doing all that. And I'm like, what the heck? And I found that I've had a lot of objections this month. So I did some research and I kind of took what I say, and you guys, this is where you can chime in. So if any of you guys have anything to add to this, please do. Because I might even go into like edit mode and literally type on there like what we're talking about so that I can put this in the Google Drive for the team and people can look at it. But number one, it is too expensive. I gotta move you humans to the bottom or something. There we go. Does it move you guys on your screen too? No, okay. Just wondering. So it is too expensive. So I'm sure you guys get this a lot, and Angie and I have had thousands of conversations on this, right? Because people will be like, it's too expensive, but then you see them out at the bar or going to McDonald's every day or getting their Caribou in Starbucks every day, and you just wish that you could be like, let me help you. Help me, help me. Help me, help you, help me, right? And so like one thing I try to talk about is there's tons of options we can pick from to fit in your budget, right? I talk to a lot of girls who are college kids, a lot of people who maybe are on tight budgets. I think of moms, right? Like how many people had a baby and they're like, all my money is wrapped up in like buying these diapers and wipes and stuff for my child. I talk about our best package is the challenge pack, which is $160 for the total solution. But if money is tight, like if I'm already getting vibes that money is something that's an issue, I say like, if money is tight, we can look at packages with just the workouts. Because to me, right, it's better for me to get someone signed up with even just a 3-month package than it is to lose a client altogether just because I want them to do a challenge pack so I get Success Club points. Because at the end of the day, we're not going to be able to get everyone, but I don't want to lose someone just because I didn't give them that option. The other thing is breaking down the cost. So I have done this, especially when we talked about MBF. I think actually on that graphic, what I like is that it says like how much each individual thing is. So then you can say like Shakeology is usually $130 on its own. So right there, you're already doing most of your cost. And then a BOD group or a BOD membership is $99, right? So now you're already up to $230. And then your BOD rope, your nutrition programs. And I kind of like break it down on all the stuff they're getting. And then it's really hard for them to be like, oh wait, like I can't afford that, right? When you get all that goodness, it's hard for them to say no. And then compare the cost to a gym membership. So I've talked about that before, right? Because people will be like, well, I have a gym membership here, or I don't know, or like, well, maybe I'll just go to the gym. And it's, again, a lot of people do not understand if we've never talked to them about the price of it. People think that Beachbody is hundreds of dollars a month. Like a lot of people will think the $160 is all the time. And so I've compared it. I think I'm going to do that with the Healthy for the Holidays because a lot of people, right, coming to January, a lot of people get gym memberships. A lot of people are looking for that change. And I want them to know it's a heck of a lot cheaper to do it at home than it is to drive to a gym every day and pay I know people who are paying $60 a month to go to the gym. Like and they could use it one time or they could use it 100 times and it's $60. So anyone have anything to add on it's too expensive? Okay. The next one I have is I don't have time. I get this one a lot. Like college kids are like, well, I'm so busy. Or like moms, right? Anyone is like, I don't have time to work out. Like it's just not something in my schedule. And relate to that. We in this group here can all relate to not having time. And so it's really hard. I am someone who I think like, well, I can do it and I have all these things on my plate. Why can't you? But I realize people function at different levels of stress. And so I just try to relate it to them, right? I totally get it. I felt the same thing. I felt like there was no way I had time to work out, but I did Morning Meltdown 100, which is only 20 minutes. Do you know that our workouts, some of them are only 20 minutes? Or I say, do you think you could fit in a 30-minute workout each day? And a lot of people realize like, oh yeah, like I probably could, right? A lot of people say they don't have time. And then you ask them when they wake up in the morning and they're like, well, I wake up at 8 o'clock. And we all know people have the capability to wake up before 8 a.m. Like some of us are literally up for 4 hours before 8 a.m., right? Like we could have half our workday in by 4 a.m. or 8 a.m. So the other thing I've talked about is like our workouts are designed to be quick and dirty. They're not meant to be drug out. They're not meant to be hours. They are meant for you to get in. They're intense so that you get your work done in that time and then you're done. I've also told them like the shorter a workout is, the more work it's going to be. Like not work in a bad way, but like, right, Morning Meltdown 100, T20, those programs are a heck of a lot more intense than like 80-day obsession where you're working out for 45 minutes and you have more breaks, or like lift 4, I feel like is kind of like you work, but you have a lot more breaks and stuff like that. Oh, look at that naked baby. Oh, so cute. And so, that's one I just try to mention, like 20-minute programs, because a lot of people think you have to work out for like 5 hours to get results, which isn't true. It's not the right time. And so this actually is not my wording. I found this as I was kind of just trying to take information in on objections. And I really liked how it was phrased. Like I understand it being the right time, it not being the right time for you now. The thing is, if it is something you'd really like to do, then sometimes you got to make the time the right time. No pressure. I'm going to be here. So when the timing is right for you, let me know. And I would love to help you. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help figure out a way to make this work right now. That is if you're ready, because a lot of people, and I get people all the time, well, now's not a good time, or like my life's too busy right now. But I don't think they realize like if it's something important to you, you're going to make a way for it to work. And so I just think that I really like with any of the objections, I like that they acknowledge the objection, they talk about it, but then they also throw in there like, no pressure, I'm gonna be here, but I want to make this work for you. And I kind of use this wording. I have a girl who's thinking about coaching, but she's on the fence. She started a new job, like kind of in a transition, and says, like, I don't know if now's the right time and I can handle it. Like kind of the same thing. Like if it is what it is, like if this is what you want to do, you will make time for it. Okay. But I like, what can I do to help you make it work, right? Because maybe, again, the time thing. Some people say, well, now's not the right time. I'm super busy. Well, maybe you come to find out they watch 3 episodes of Netflix a day and they consider that busy, right? Like we all know the people who say they are super busy and then they binge watch Netflix for hours. And you're like, well, priorities. Okay.
Can I add something, Brianna?
Yes, I love it.
So I was listening to a podcast and this whole deal like on objections one time, and I thought there was something really interesting that they talked about. Can you hear me normally?
Yes.
Okay. He was talking about how like I think all this is great, and I really like how you like they acknowledge it, like you said. But one thing with objections that I've been trying to do is like, okay, without being weird, be like, tell me more about that, or like, oh, like what makes like your life so busy, without sounding weird or mean, because you could be like, I feel like you could be like, well, what makes your life busier than anyone else's? And I'm not trying to do that, but like help them think about it more to keep the conversation going, because it's really easy to just get shut down. I feel like I've listened to different things about objections, and it's like, okay, that's great, those are things to say, but a lot of times they're just like, no, I don't have time, and like that you're all gone. But I feel like if you throw it back on them and you're like, okay, well, like why don't you have time, or what's going on in your life,
I love that, especially for that. Like, explain to me, like, what is using your time, or like, how do you spend your time, And then you can have the conversation of like, so if you were to pick one thing to take out of your life, what would you take out, right? Because some people might be like, well, I wouldn't do this or I wouldn't do that, right? And maybe they don't have time, but you find out, yeah, that you could wake up earlier, you could help them find a pocket they didn't realize was there. And so I like that. Okay. This is one, okay, sorry, I gotta make you little so that we can see you all. This is something I'm sure you guys have got a ton, right? Shakeology is too expensive. So it's really hard. And that's why I put, like, to sum this all up, is like for the best results, right? The total solution is with Shakeology. And so I have had a lot of my clients get really mad because they're not getting the results they want. But the hard part about that is half of it is because they refuse to use Shakeology because it's too expensive and they think it's just a protein shake, right? But you realize it's a lot more than a protein. You realize it replaces a meal. It has more nutrients. And Angie and I have talked about this analogy a lot too. I thought Shakeology was too expensive. And then I looked at the amount of money I spent on fast food, and I was literally, Shane and I think, we're spending like $400 a month on fast food. Like, no joke, super expensive amount of money, super stupid amount of money on fast food. And so I like how it says, like, honestly, I couldn't afford to not drink this if I wanted to reach my goals, because too often than not, people are wondering like why they're not getting the results they want, but they're not doing the programs designed the way. So like, for the best results, we encourage you to use the workouts, drink the Shakeology, and follow the meal plans, right? And I get it's expensive, but I have been trying to tell people like, well, write down your grocery bill, or write down this and see where can you replace that. Okay. I'm breastfeeding or I'm pregnant. These are two things I've gotten. And I always, always, always preface with talk to your doctor, right? Always, always, always talk to your doctor. And I've had a lot of people who have told me like, I'm really glad you said that, because I've never had someone tell me to talk to my doctor before. They've just told me like, well, it's safe, don't worry. And so they're like, actually, you telling me to talk to my doctor made me trust you more, because you weren't trying to pull a fast one over me. Like, you legit were looking out for me. And so I always say, well, always consult with your doctor because they're going to know what's best for you and your baby. But I have many challengers who use our products while pregnant and nursing. So I tell them to talk to their doctor before I sign them up. But I want them to also take comfort bringing it to their doctor, knowing that like I have had coaches who have used it. I've had challengers who used it, and I've never had like even Energize. Doctors have said are healthy. And now maybe it just depends on your doctor and if your doctor trusts it or not. But Jess, do you have any input on that? I don't know, because I don't know if you used products when you were pregnant at all, or if Mackenzie used any products when they were pregnant.
I I did use the Energize. I didn't drink Shakeology at the time. I used the Energize. I would be very interested to know if you did, Mackenzie, because I did, and I never checked with my doctor, but I needed it to survive working at the feedlot and early night, mornings and late nights. So
Yeah, I did as well, but I never checked with my doctor either because there's not that much caffeine in Energize, and so
and it's natural. I wasn't worried about it. My next pregnancy, I probably will ask just because, but. Yeah.
And I know it all depends on your doctor and how familiar they are with with Shakeology and stuff, because I know girls who have checked with their doctors who tell them if they keep drinking their Shakeology every day, like they don't have to take a prenatal vitamin.
Mm-hmm. I've been told that too.
Shakeology replaces that. But then I have some people that their doctors don't want them to drink it. So it depends on your doctor. And
I honestly feel like those are probably the ones that don't like really even take the time to look at it. They're just like, oh, it's like, a protein shake, and don't really want you to drink it. Because that is another thing, like with the objections, I think, for cost too. It's like, do you know how many vitamins are in it? Like that you can talk to them about, like, I don't even take vitamins right now. I probably should, but I don't.
Well, vitamins are expensive, because when I tried to adult and take vitamins, I was spending a lot of money. I mean, Angie, you take vitamins every day, don't you? And they're expensive. I mean.
Yep.
Yes, I only take like certain ones. Like I take coconut oil because it's helped me since I've had mono, and then I just take vitamin C. Because vitamin C is really good for your immunity, and I'll probably take vitamin D because we don't get much sunlight. I don't know. They're not terrible, but I don't know. For me, I'm like, it's definitely worth the health. But I think the Shakeology helps too, 100%. So
I never even thought about that, talking about like the vitamins in it are really good too, and you don't need to really.
Yeah, because like last year, everybody in my house had influenza, and I, by the grace of God, I was pregnant and I never got it, but everybody else in my house had it. So it's like, was that grace of God? Was it Shakeology? Was it, because I suck at like remembering to take like my prenatals and stuff. Like, since I thought I had COVID, my husband was like, you really need to start taking some zinc, and you really need to start taking vitamin C, and you really need to. I'm like, I know, I suck at it.
I feel you. I need to take more vitamin C. But that's one I've got a lot, because people are like, well, I'm breastfeeding, or, stuff like that. And I just have found good results in saying, like, talk to your doctor, then talk to me. And then I have pictures of the labels on my phone, or I send them a link to it, and I've literally had people email it to their doctor, and that same day their doctor has emailed them back and been like, yep, that's fine. And so
I also like to tell them with the UPF that Autumn does as like a special thing for if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, to help with that, because a lot of people also, like with breastfeeding, I know it's always a concern of mine of like, well, if I try to lose the baby weight, am I going to lose my milk supply? And if you're passionate about breastfeeding, like that's your worst fear. But where Autumn does a specific segment on just breastfeeding and like the more calories you should be eating and different things like that.
That's awesome. Yep. I didn't even know that. So good information. Love it. Okay. I already have Beachbody and a coach, and this is probably the most common objective you'll ever hear, but I found some really good ways. Okay. I used to be Akko Taco. When this happened to me, they'd be like, I already have Beachbody. And I'd be like, okay, sounds good. Bye. Like I ran out of the conversation as fast as possible. because I felt awkward. Well, now, like, this is what I say, right? Like, well, that is awesome. I love finding other ladies who are using Beachbody. What program are you doing? This tells me a lot, because either they're like, I'm doing Lift 4. I love it. Life is great. Oh my gosh. Or I find like, well, I'm not really doing a program. Like, I'm kind of falling off the wagon, right? And just let natural conversation flow. Talk to them about what program they're doing, what programs they've done in the past, how they're liking it, all that. And I like straight up have asked, like, oh, awesome. Like, do you have a coach you're working with? And I have found a lot of people do not have coaches. A lot of people have signed up randomly. They've signed up and their coach no longer does it, or they signed up and their coach was never to be seen or heard from again, which really, like, I've said it on many team calls, right? Like, for my team, I have always said, like, we will not be those coaches that sign someone up and disappear, because that's why I quit using Beachbody the first time, and I don't want that for anyone. And so I have some conversation with them, and then if it sounds like maybe like they want in on a challenge group, or they would be willing to switch coaches, I just say, like, I'm not here to steal anyone's challengers, but if you'd like to switch over and be a part of our group, you're more than welcome, because I don't want them to think like I'm poaching them. I completely 100% want it to be in their court. I never want someone to think I'm trying to snag them or take them. But I've found, like, and right, I've had people who are like, I love my coach. I love my accountability group. Life is great. And then a month later, like, this literally happened last month. A girl was in my inbox. Hey, can I switch over to you? My coach is going to quit coaching and I'd love to have you as my coach. Awesome. Great. This month I have had more people switch to me as their coach than I have had human beings sign up, like, with a challenge pack. But the cool thing is, right, and some, right, by the grace of God, by showing up every single day, these people crawl out of the woodwork. I messaged a girl about accountability group. She said, I work out every single day. I have no interest in being in a challenge group. Like, I'm really bad at posting. She said, but I don't have a coach. My subscription is going to be up in December. Can I switch to you as my coach so you can get credit for it? Sure. Like, doesn't bother me, right? She's like, you motivate me every single day, and so I want to switch to you so you get my credit. Okay, like, right? So these little things, when we think like no one's signing up with me, like, oh, I just had someone transfer over to me, like, no big deal. Like, I don't benefit from someone transferring. You're right. In this moment, you don't benefit, but down the road, you might. And so even that is a win. Even just getting someone because they convert to you is awesome. Anyone have any good ways they talk to people too if someone's like, I already have a coach? Or pretty much just the same thing? Pretty much? Sounds good. You're great.
I just have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
What do you do when you have people that are like, I want to be part of your accountability group, and then they have a coach, but they don't really want to switch over coaches, or they don't think they're going to use it because they haven't used it in the past? Or
So it kind of depends on how well I know them. Some people who, like, I'm really good friends with in person, I find it very awkward to be like, well, can't be in my group. Like, find that awkward. But I've gotten really, I just am blunt and I say, well, I put a lot of time and effort into my challenge group, so I actually only allow my challengers to be in my groups because I spend a lot of time and effort in them. And so I'm sorry, but you have to be a challenger in order to be in my group. Because I found, like, so if I talk about Shakeology and I inspire Jess to go buy Shakeology and Jess is under another coach, I just made a sale for that other coach and I'm not benefiting from it at all. And right, if people want to say, well, I thought you were in this because you want to help people. Well, you're right. I want to help people. But at the end of the day, like, would you go to work all day long and then donate your paycheck to someone else? And so they can call me what they want. I've never had anyone, some people, they kind of get snotty about it, but it's just like, I tell them, like, well, it's kind of the perk of being under me. It's my challenge groups.
I've had a few of those, like, yeah, I want to be in your group. And then especially like as I like, because I put my website up with this last one, so they look at it and they're like, oh yeah, that looks like awesome, like la da da da. And then I'm like, we kind of realize that they have a coach, but then I kind of very, nicely but bluntly, like you said, like, hey, like I'm like, okay, you already have a coach, like, are you in a challenge group with her? La da da da. Yes, I am. I'm like, okay, well then, if you're happy there, like, I suggest you just stay. I am, running this group for my challengers, the people that I coach, so it's probably not the group for you. Then like, you're being nice, you're being kind, and you're letting them know that like if they do want to join you, like they need to be your challenger, so that if their coach ever does quit coaching or quit supporting them, like you see happen, I feel like quite a bit, then they already kind of have your group as something they were interested in their mind, and you were kind to them. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. And it's always awkward, right? It's gonna always be awkward being like, sorry, but like, I'm trying to find even better words. I like how Jess said, if you're happy where you're at, like, keep going there. Or I've had people who don't want to switch coaches. And then I say, like, maybe I said, well, do you want to check in and see if your coach has an accountability group you should be in? Because I said your coach should be running an accountability group for you. And so ask your coach about that, and then, chat with me if they don't have one. There have been close friends of mine that I've led in my challenge groups, even though I know, because sometimes I think it's more awkward to be like, no. But my free groups, like this Nutrition 101 group we're doing, I have a lot of people who are coached by other people, because in a free group, it's hard to be like, nope, sorry, not. And then I don't know, it's a funnel where I hope maybe they change to me. Okay. These are some that I obviously took the graphic of, and now Jess ran away. But she was having a lot of trouble, and so were other people, with people were reading the message and they'd like commit, like they'd say like, yeah, send me a share cart. And then they'd like vanish off the earth, or they would like not recommit. And so there she is. So these are some messages that I thought were interesting that people like put when people read the message, committed, and then like ghosted you. So like I knew, like the one I really liked was number 2, because it's just like, you haven't signed up yet, I'm holding your spot. I was inspired by the way you like, this one's talking about coaching. You wanted to build the business for your little ones. Or you could say, I was inspired about how excited you were to do XYZ. And so the other one, I don't know. I don't really like the goal one. I hate when people are like, help me reach this goal. Like when people post that in their business pages and are like, help me reach this goal of mine by buying something. It's like, that's not how you do it. And then follow up, I like number 5. So number 2 and number 5 are kind of the 2 I actually like off here, is like, hey, I'm guessing you never found the time to click on the link and it's just not your month. Totally get it. I'd love to follow up you with, I would love to follow up with you next month and see if your funds are in better order. I'm guessing they talked about Starbucks and said, stay away from the Starbucks, And so I really like relating to their why and like saying, like I'm holding a spot for you. And then asking for the follow-up is something I really like. And so, the next one is, these I thought were good, right? That I'm waiting for New Year's, because now we're getting into this time where people are going to be more focused in waiting till 2021 instead of just starting now. And so I really like to, understand potential objections are their limiting beliefs. So they have nothing to do with you, right? When people are saying, I don't have time, don't have money, any of that, it is because of them, not because of you. And so like this, I really like, you can even reinforce this in your post. So I'm going to be trying to use some of these in my posts, right? Like, did you know this is the time of the year that Americans gain the most weight? Like, don't you want to get a head start on that? Or like, think of how much further, like all of us know that, how much further would you be if you started now? Think about your first 2 months of doing Beachbody and the transformation you saw in those first 2 months, right? Because when you start a journey, I mean, I had a lot more transformation back then than I do now in a program, right? You could physically see me transform in 21 days when I first started this. Now, if I do 21 days, I feel like I look the same. And so think of how much further, like Angie, right? It doesn't, like with our Healthy for the Holidays, it doesn't mean you can't not indulge. It just means you'll have a greater time during the holidays. And like one thing I'm going to talk about, right? How awkward is it when you go to, and maybe it's just my family are rude human beings and other families don't do this, right? But when you go to family gatherings and people are like, wow, you've gained weight. And like, they don't even mean to like offend you, but you're like, you know, or someone like, what happens when that Christmas sweater doesn't fit, or what happens when your clothes, right? It's like people feel crappy during Christmas when they feel uncomfortable and not confident. And so, New Year's is a huge season. Yeah. And so it's just a good time for people to start so that they're even better prepared for the future. I think that's my last slide. Yes. Okay. Exit. Okay. So, that's kind of a little bit on objections. Obviously it's not perfect and you have to find what works for you, but I just thought it was helpful because it kind of shows you how we talk about objections with people, and gives you some ideas on how to have less awkward conversations about it. Yeah, tell me more. Tell me more is a great question, right? So when someone says like, no, sorry, like I don't have time right now. Tell me more about like what's keeping you busy. Tell me more. Like lately I've been trying to get people talking, right? Even I have been sending people, like, you know how they post those gym selfie, you know, the gym picture of them in the mirror. I say like, awesome way to get your sweat on today. Like what goals are you working towards? And then we talk, you know, like, what do you like to do? How is it working? All that kind of stuff, right? Like, is there something, if you could change something, what would you change, right? Some people might be like, well, I have to drive 30 minutes to the gym. Okay. Like, what if I told you you could work out at home, right? So I'm trying to also build on that too. So I'm going to stop recording. Go ahead.
I love that because I'm so intimidated by like, if I see someone like when I'm following people, like my pictures like sweaty, like, or yeah, like gym mirror pictures, I'm like, not gonna follow you, like, but yeah, they could be looking for a different solution too.
Yeah. Or like a lot of people, right? I know a lot of people who joined when the gym shut down, or, you know, who knows, like, I don't know, the rate we're going, gyms might shut down again. I don't know. Or people might not feel comfortable going to the gym. And so there might be people who are worried about COVID and they don't really want to go share a gym with a bunch of people. So